Yo, so hear me out. I think The Division is another cool but not cool game.
Huh?
I only say that because I'm not gonna lie, the first time I played the game, I didn't really understand it, and so I didn't really like it. But now that I do understand it, it's actually a pretty decent game. So if I had to compare it to like another game, I would compare it to Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is probably not surprising at all. But if you didn't know, I played Ghost Recon like about a month ago, and I can see a lot of similarities with that game and this game. But this one feels like a more early or like prototype version of Ghost Recon. But that could also just be because this game came out before Ghost Recon. So even though I don't think the game is that bad, it definitely does have its issues. And so the first issue I have is the combat. So the combat in this game feels really dated. I know this is a fairly old game from 2015, but the combat feels like it's from 2008 or something like that. And what I mean by that is cover is extremely important. And obviously cover is important in these shooter type games and whatever, but if you don't use it, you're pretty much a goner. But I think that's just due to the fact that you only get 3 bars of health, and as far as I know, there's no way of increasing it, so I think that's why cover is so valuable. But if I had to compare the like combat style of this game, it reminds me a lot of the first Army of 2 game. Another thing that I wish this game really had was stealth, because stealth is practically non-existent in this game. Because it doesn't matter if you equip a suppressor, even if you one-shot an enemy, the rest of the targets or enemies will find out where you're at anyway. So I really wish that the stealth was better in this game. Since I'm on the topic of gameplay anyway, I wish this game was more, I don't want to say realistic, but I guess more like Ghost Recon. I could just be used to it, but like, you know how in Ghost Recon you can pretty much one-shot an enemy as long as you're like in stealth or whatever? Well, in this game, like, it's pretty much impossible to one-shot an enemy because the way the health is in this game is based on, like, the enemy's level. So it doesn't matter. It's not like, you know, obviously a headshot would be at one shot in this game. It's more about damage and pretty much what your stats are versus realism. But this is where the fat plot twist comes in. The combat becomes a little more enjoyable once you start unlocking decent gear and abilities. So for the gear, you can pretty much find it anywhere. You can loot it off of enemies, you can find it in random buildings, or you can even craft it or buy it. So you pretty much have a lot of options for gear. And for abilities, the abilities is kind of weird because how you unlock them is like you have to do these certain encounter missions which are like side missions, and you have to build like you have to get enough points to unlock certain areas for like the 3 main facilities, which is like medical, tech, and security or something like that. And those are pretty much what will allow you to unlock new abilities and perks and things like that. But I will say there's not many abilities you can use. There's 4 in each branch, so there's like a total of 12 abilities. But at least for me personally, I like using the ballistic shield and one of the like the med kits ability, which I feel like is necessary just because the whole health issue thing. But depending on your playstyle, you can pretty much have whatever kind of like build you want. Like I kind of have a tank build, but you could probably do like a high damage build or like a sonic pulse build where you can find all the enemies' locations or something like that. It just really depends on what kind of playstyle you like. Now, there's this thing in the middle of the map called Dark Zone, and it's a thing for like high risk, high reward, which I actually like that idea that you can get good loot, but obviously there's going to be harder enemies. I definitely feel like it was meant mainly for multiplayer because doing Dark Zone solo isn't impossible, but it's damn near impossible. Like, it's not nearly the same as the regular mode because you have to extract your loot in extraction zones. You can't just like take it with you after you pick it up, and you can't really loot until you're at least level 10 Dark Zone because sure, enemies drop loot, but the better loots are in the chest and they have a level cap on them, so that's why I say level 10 and up. But yeah, I really like the idea of Dark Zone. I think that was really cool. So that's pretty much my thoughts about the game. I can't really give a complete review because I'm probably about like halfway through the game right now, so there's probably a bunch of things that I haven't even discovered yet, but I really do feel like this game is like another Gotham Knights situation where if you just play it with an open mind, I think a lot of people would actually like the game, especially if you're like into the Ghost Recon games. It's fairly similar to those. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think about The Division, because I'm genuinely curious if people like the game or they straight up just hate it. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you in the next video because I'm dipping out.